everybody, and welcome to Minute to Skim It. We're going to review a bunch of cool books this week. You know what's so interesting is that usually this week is a slow week. Like publishers usually kind of like ramp it down. They know that people are going to be traveling or distracted by family coming in or those kinds of things. But it looks like this time around, because of the schedule, they were just like, you know what? Let's put down some of our heaviest hitters. Make everyone go to the comic shop on Wednesday when they should be making pies. But it's going to be so worth it, y'all. I actually had to make a post after reading my very first book because I was just like completely blown away by the book. So you guys are in for a treat this week. It's not going to break your bank necessarily, unless you get a little crazy with covers, I guess. Sorry, I'm getting uncomfortable in here. So yeah, there's great books out this week, and definitely make sure to pay attention to your local comic shop for what kind of specials they might be having all week long, or just on Friday or whatever. Just remember that Saturday is Small Business Saturday, so a lot of people might not know why Black Friday is called Black Friday, but most businesses in the universe operate in the red, which means they spend more than they make all year round until they get to Black Friday, which is the first time they get enough sales to like be in the profit. So a lot of businesses make all their profit in the very end of the year. That's not us, but because I don't know if comic book stores could survive all the way to the end of the year without making any profit, but they rely on you to show up and enjoy the goods that they offer. And comic book stores are no exception. So definitely go and support them. All right, let's get down to what we're doing. And Steve, I think I responded to you. Did I get a response to my email? Sorry, talking to Steve over on YouTube, asking me a question. All right, this is the one that broke me this week. Totally broke me. I know that everyone's already kind of like super hyper focused on the next issue of Absolute Batman because we've already seen the image that's on the front cover of it, which is, crazy looking Joker. So everyone's super psyched about that one. And I had actually kind of like thought, because of when we ordered it, that this was the one we were getting this week. But no, we've got this beauty stuck in between. It just wants to slap us in the face a couple times. So in case you guys don't know kind of what's going on in Absolute Batman, like there's this theme that's going through it, like in the main universe, like only like person I think that has the venom is Bane, right? That's kind of like his shtick. So he like has this thing that like soups him up, kicks him right in the adrenaline, and makes him all mass up. And that one's just him, as far as I know. I don't remember any of the characters that have venom. But in this Absolute universe, Bane is kind of, it feels like he's not the first experiment, because they actually have numbers for the experiments. But he is the one that all the hope is put into, right? And you've kind of found out over the last however many issues that he's really wanting, like his whole wording and everything to the scientist or whoever that's kind of over this project. And that like once we get the next person all like you're ready to do experiments on the next person, they take it over, then I get to leave, right? I get to go home, go back to where I'm from and be with my family. They're like, yes, of course, that's what the aim is. And what you've probably also learned over the last however many issues is that I can't remember what issue number it is in, but Bruce has been captured and done experiments on, and he also has been injected with the venom, in which he doesn't have like an unlimited supply. It's not like something that's like made in him. But he believes he's got like enough venom in him to like blow up a couple times. And where we left it off the last issue was that there's been like a challenge thrown down. A great many people know about the challenge. Is Bane versus Batman is like a battle to the death kind of thing with no rules at all. And it looks like organized crime has a want to have this all happen. And so to the public, they're saying, oh, there's absolutely, this thing is not happening, but it totally does. So I will just tell you, there are so many moments in this book where you're like, okay, well, I think I know what is going to happen, right? Boom, 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 spam, spam, blam, break things, whatever. There are so many things that happen. So many things that happen in this book that you're just going to be, your jaw is going to drop. You get to see, obviously, you see Waylon's there. There's another storyline that's happening alongside the main storyline. It goes back to when Waylon was a boxer, and Bruce is part of that storyline because they used to know each other. And that is kind of like, that paralleling story is really cool. So, yeah. And there's something that happens in the last 3 pages, which is going to make you just lose your absolute mind. It is never going to stop. I figure this out now. It's like there is no breather issue in all of Absolute Batman. It just keeps on ramping up. Every single time, more ramping, more awesome. Aw, thanks, my friend. And same thing for Absolute Wonder Woman. When last we saw her, she had figured out that this new kind of like, it almost looks like an electric kind of being who's been attacking her, revealed itself to kind of like look like her. So she's figured out this is kind of like the anti-her, that because she exists in the world, then this other thing must also exist. So in this issue, she does a lot of like thinking about whether is the only way to get rid of this other being to get rid of herself. Like, because she exists is the other one. If she doesn't exist, does it get rid of it? Because this is a very dangerous being. And to that end, she, because this is so based in like goddesses and other things that are part of the same, like, you know, Hecate and Gaia and all of those, she goes to the biggest of them all, Mother Earth herself, Gaia, to ask for what is this and what am I supposed to do? And again, she is like, her personality has been and always probably is just like centered to her no matter what universe she's in. She's willing to give up everything. Like, she really does offer up her life if that is the answer. So Wonder Woman is also exceptionally wonderful. It is fun when people come into the comic book shop and say, you know, I've heard Absolute Batman is really great, or any of the other ones any good. And I'm just like, yes, all of them have their own merits. They're very different. And this one also, just so that you know, you should probably have heard this by now, that really soon, next issue, you're going to start seeing some of the characters cross over into each other's books. They all felt like they were very on their own. We never saw anybody else from any of their books. But now it looks like it says at the very end of the Wonder Woman, it says the Batman at the end, which has been in social media for a while. So I'm not spoiling anything for you, but you don't see the Batman. So I'm not giving you anything other than a chapter title that says, and next, the Batman chapter title. Okay, I didn't know what I was getting into here. It's a nice black label book, and usually black label books don't really attach to anything else in the universe. You can jump into these. You get enough information in the book to understand the characters, even if you've never come across them before. You know, good Brave and the Bold kind of feel. So that you know the question there, which is the guy that looks like he has no face. He is a detective, and so that's his role in this book, even though you also have Batman there, who's also a detective. His role is more as Bruce. And you've got Alexander Queen there. And what's interesting about the premise of the story is, so the mystery is that there's a really bad part of a lot of cities that have factory in them. There's a specific one that they're looking at. And they're making parts that they don't really know what they're for. No, I said Oliver. Thought I did. Did I say somebody else? Psh, who knows what words come out of my mouth? Sorry, y'all. So, oh, I'm sorry, Kenneth. Oh, glaucoma is hard. I have a friend that gets like shots in their eye all the time, and they said you get used to it and it's fine and it fixes a lot of stuff. So I hope that they can do something cool like that for you. Back to the review. So here's the thing that's going on. There are a great many rich people that are getting together and trying to say that they have an idea for like cities or islands that can be, I guess, floated or can fly. What would you say? It's a way to prevent places from being overrun by like global warming or whatever. So Bruce is interested because he doesn't really want to, and so does Oliver. He is interested because he likes the idea of it, that it's like rich people trying to do things that would make sense and are good, but there's also this underlying mystery that is like, what are they up to? And of course, these guys are going to find it out. So it's a kind of a fun. Okay, Steve, can I do a review show and we'll talk about it later? How about that? So this one's a great start to a really crazy like premise. And you know that there's got to be something going on behind the scenes. So Alexander Queen sounds like a great name. Oh, you know what that is? Alexander McQueen is an actual, is a really nice like designer, or was a very nice designer. He's passed on, but that's what happens when you watch a lot of Project Runway. Kissing Santa Claus. This is DC's kind of like anthological book with a bunch of different Christmas stories in it. I read the first 3 because of course you cannot possibly read a book this thick and be able to finish all your other books for review. So let me kind of like look at what the first story I will tell you I didn't really get. It was a story, but it wasn't one that I was like, ooh. But the story is basically 2 characters, a mom, it looks like a mom and a daughter, who are superheroes or attached to old golden age superhero folk. And she, like, that is the mom right there. She dresses up just like that. But the deal about it is that they don't have any money for a Christmas tree. They don't have any money for presents. And the little girl is like, why can't we be like normal people? And so the story is mostly about the mom dressing them up in their costumes so they can go and see other people that they do fight crime with and kind of like get an idea of like, hey, it's not 100% what you are imagining. Like we're not well off or anything, but we do have friends and we do have purpose. So that one is a really cool story. And then the second story is about Billy Batson. The story is basically about like a holiday dance. He and his friends are saying that, like, why would you want to go to do such a thing? Girls are icky, whatever. And then a girl asks him, and then he was like, yes, I'd love to go. And then as Shazam, he also has met someone who is very pretty and has asked for help in a fundraising thing, I think. And what's weird about it is it ends up being like this girl's mom is this other woman. So although Billy's been asked to the dance, her mom is also there expecting Shazam to show up to help with fundraising. It's all kinds of awkward. Super Golden Age Red Tornado Ma Hunkle. Thank you. Thank you for helping me with that. I was like, I know that I should know who that is, but I don't know that. And then a really cute one is the third one. It's called Holiday Getaway, and it is a storyline with Harley and Poison Ivy. They've gone to a cabin in the woods to kind of like have some alone time but it really is kind of like a fairly serious like discussion between Poison Ivy and Harley. Poison Ivy is like, why can't you ever be serious? I want to have a serious talk with you about our relationship, but you're always making funny jokes or whatever, so I don't know if you're ever serious. So that's kind of like, it's very adorable. It's well drawn, but it is about their relationship, which is kind of cool. And then there's like a bunch of other stories, but so it's like a cool, like prestige format size book. It is well worth its money. Okay, DCKO, stuff you've been really waiting for. We finally get to battles, because I know that you guys have been thinking to yourself, oh, I thought this DCKO thing was just a bunch of battles to see who could get the most Omega energy and become King Omega. And yes, that is kind of the story. And we have found out last issue who the 32 heroes are that have entered, heroes and villains, as it turns out, who have entered the fray. This one has a kind of an interesting way of telling the story. Like it starts out kind of with like everyone sitting around and jabberjawing about like, what would you be if you weren't Superman? What would you be if you weren't Batman? Whatever. And that's kind of cool because it starts out that way and then ends up another way at the end. So it's like cornerstone by that. But everything in the middle is about this first round of battling, in which it does, I promise you, get you to your top 16 by the end. But the how it gets there is all very interesting. So instead of being like battles, which is what I thought kind of was going to happen, where you're like this one versus that one, pew pew, fight, fight. It's not that way. It's there are 16 immense objects of immense power that have been hidden by Darkseid in the battle zone. Things like Green Lantern rings or there's a ton of like mother box and that kind of stuff. And there are some of the objects that the characters themselves are kind of attached to. So Cyborg kind of has an idea of where Mother Box would be because it kind of feels, like he's attached to that thing. So you feel like that's a good advantage, but everyone's after him. And of course, since you've got some baddies in there, it's going to get real scary. And there's a lot of surprises along the way. There's a mystery object that's in play. It tells you what all 15 are. It tells you there's a 16th object that's that no one knows what it is, and that's kind of crazy. So it's a good book, good ramp up. I'm excited about it. Grab it. I Saw Santa. Now this one is a very opposite of I Saw my uncle kissing Santa Claus. This is about as far away from that as you could possibly get. So this one's tied to the Spawn universe, I believe. My brain is not breaking today. Yep, Spawn universe. It kind of doesn't say it on that one, but my copy says Spawn universe info. So this one is a story told in the like direct purview of Sam and Twitch, who are the police officers that have been around for a really long time in the universe, have their own book. Now this one is about a very, very, very scary serial killery guy that we don't get to see. I don't think we ever get to see who it is directly. But it all starts out with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 things in boxes. So for people that like that, what's in the box idea, that is what's going on here. And it is Sam and Twitch trying to figure out who's the person doing this stuff. And Santa Claus comes across what's going on, and he's also real messed up by what he sees. So This is as a horror-y and adult as you could ever possibly imagine. This is not for kids. Don't leave it around for them to accidentally find. Don't think my kid's fine. They can totally read this book. It'll like mess them up for life. But it's really great art and good story. Especially if you like, I love police procedural and those kinds of things. So it's my jam. Pet Tony Mac relishes the fact that Santa's an anagram. Oh, maybe. I know. Ice cubes. That's right. You saw it. Good job. You guys are so good at seeing all the cool stuff on those covers. Skinbreaker continues to be amazingly drawn. It makes my eyes so happy. When last we saw our characters, the old chieftain has been finding himself kind of like challenged by the fact that there's kind of like feels like one of his tribe is real not good. You know, he's not good for the tribe, but he thinks he's the bee's knees. It's like having Gaston on your tribe members. It just wants to like, but you can't just be like, hey, I think I better be a better chief. So why don't you step aside and go enjoy some retirement? And then, I'll step in. That's not the way this universe works. You gotta challenge the chieftain, and then it's a fight to the deaths. And the chieftain's entire, like if he somehow allows some big dangerous creature into the camp, even if it was off fighting another creature, which is what happens in this one, he's like trying to lead a creature away from his people, but then another one attacks. And, of course, this other member of his tribe is going to use that to say, oh, you got a sign of weakness. So although the chieftain was his son very much to come and take his place, I feel like this guy's too young and way too nice and soft. He is a good guy. He's just not ready for what's coming. This guy really has got a lot of, and so there's just beautiful, beautiful imagery of the creatures themselves look really great. The bad guy creatures, like the big monsters that they kill to eat. It's really cool. I like that they're kind of like slow rolling, like there's no big storyline here other than the main one regarding who's going to rule these people. So I'm interested to see if there's going to be like something else or someone else introduced to make more conflict, because that's what it always needs, right? David Finch is amazing. Oh my gosh. I love Berserker so much. Okay, first question. This is probably a good question for our friend, what's the name of he's a movie buff that keeps asking questions, and I really like the questions, but I can't do it when I'm doing reviews. Acres of Movies. Acres of Movies, you should come to my sales show next, and we can talk about all kinds of stuff. That's when we like to chit-chat a lot. So Acres of Movies, this is what makes me lose sleep at night. It's very clear that Keanu Reeves has designed this character to be someone he wants to play, right? It looks like him. It's very clearly him. But the deal is like, B is like huge. He's like giant Alan, is it Richmond? I mean, he's going to have to put on a lot of bulk. Not to say he can't, because I know he can do whatever. Richardson, thank you. So, yeah. If he could just take Alan's body and just like put his head on it, it would be much easier for him, but I'm sure he's just going to eat like 20 billion calories a day and lift a lot of weights, and then he's going to be fine. So if you don't know anything about Berserker, shame on you. Go get all the books, because it's amazing. That's what AI is for. That's true, but I don't want any AI. I'd much rather have him have a muscle suit built for him, and he just lives in it, because I know that you can do that stuff. I've seen it happen. They made a fat suit for Hemsworth, so why can't they make a muscly suit for Berserker? Jacked Keanu. Now he's not all adorable. We've seen him be John Wick and be all, he's been samurais. He did that in the third Bill and Ted. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so what you know about Berserker is he doesn't 100% know his entire history. He doesn't know how long he's been around. We've seen goodness snippets of like how far back he goes, but he's immortal. And when we first saw him in the very first book of Berserker, it was more modern day, and the military had gotten a hold of him, and they've been kind of dangling this carrot of like, hey, do this stuff that we need you to do, and we will help you find out, your history, and or help you die if that's your desire. But they're never going to do that. Why would they give up the most awesome soldier who never dies and is just super powerful, and he's got all of the experience in the world because he's been through everything? And we've seen him in A Fistful of Bullets be in the Old West. We've seen him in ancient times. We've seen him in a bunch of different scenarios, but this one finds him deep underneath the ocean, squashed beyond just unrecognizable, pulped up in a box, thrown in the bottom of the ocean. But they actually have this cool ship pull him up. That's the very beginning. You get to see the captain be specifically looking for him. And what you hear this pirate say, is that they could hear his heart. And that sounds kind of weird. Like, well, who can hear someone's heart underneath the ocean? Well, you're going to find out. It introduces another kind of being in this story, which is awesome. And you might be able to figure her out. If you look at her eyes there on the front cover, you might be able to figure what's going on. And they have a lot of really interesting interactions. And I don't want to mess anything up for you, but this is a really good long book, and introduces some cool new creatures that make sense for him to have come across, and that share one of his attributes. So you guys can figure it out. I don't know if everybody knows. Maybe it was like part of the description of the books. But hopefully, no. And I hope you get to discover it. Art is amazing. Hamivore? What? Okay. Gonna have some water. Okay. Daredevil and Punisher, The Devil's Trigger. This one follows Matt Murdock, who he and Foggy are representing one of the crime family who is supposed to be doing some witnessing, and he's not doing a real good job of protecting himself. There has been recently one of the other, his family's being wiped out. His crime family's being wiped out. And you find out that the Punisher is the guy who's been tasked with doing this stuff, right? And it's not hard to talk a Punisher into taking care of some mafioso. So this is kind of them being at odds with each other, because Daredevil, who is also, Matt Murdock, is wanting this guy to be alive so that he can actually go to court and do his thing. But the Punisher obviously is going to do his thing. And it's so cool, the interaction that they have with each other. It's not as straightforward as you might think. English to TJ, Hamivore is a blood eater. Ooh, yeah, I like that, TJ. Yeah, I didn't know that. Hamivore. Now I've learned some new words. So anyway, Daredevil and Punisher is a good premise for a story, for a reason for them to interact with each other. And you can just see how good the Punisher is at his job, which is really good. And you can just see the Daredevil do his thing. Yeah, their dynamic is really cool. I mean, it makes sense for them to be messing around in Hell's Kitchen together. And it's good art, good creative team. I do recommend it. There's sometimes when I read books where I'm just like, this is kind of like a nothing book, but this one kind of feels like good character development for them both. Oh my goodness, Infernal Hulk. Okay. I wanted to see if maybe I need to read the little thing that's in the beginning, because the Hulk is a very complex character. There is a whole idea of the Green Door, which is kind of like a psyche place that he goes to, in which other parts of his personality live. It's kind of really hard to understand unless you've been reading Immortal Hulk, especially that run where it gets more into all of that stuff. So this is involved with that. Not the Green Door specifically, but stuff that's involved with the Green Door. So the Hulk himself has been exposed to, I don't know any other way to describe it other than like a monster something, which gives him another complete form. I'm actually going to read it to y'all because it's a very interesting concept. It's like, I love it when they introduce a new form of Hulk. It's like, I like Maestro, and I like Grey Hulk, and I like all in the immortal version of him. This one just seems like the most like non-human, most brutal part, where he's like full on. Oh, and by the way, there is huge sections of this book which is just amazing art showing him being brutal and destroying stuff. So if you're looking for a lot of like chit chat inner comic books, this is not the book for you. It's not chit chatty, no chit chats. It's all about. Okay, so this is what it says. For aeons untold, the mother of horrors was imprisoned in a pocket dimension, locked behind a gate none but the one below all could open. So the one below all is part of that Green Door stuff. Using Hulk as their vessel, the being known as Eldest finally opened her mother's prison, but found her withered, mindless, and broken. Eldest consumed their mother's flesh, imbuing Hulk's body with the primordial seed of corruption that once created the great old ones. As the infernal Hulk rises, a new age of Earth begins, the age of monsters. So this is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, which means it's really great. And Nick Klein's art is mind-blowing. It is exactly like the art that is there on the front. It is, I wish I could show you this double page splash. I want it. I think I need to go try to buy it because it's so pretty. But there is a death that happens in here. There's a bunch of like soldiers that come up to try to come up against him when he appears. They're like, they don't know what they're looking at. And they're thinking to themselves, oh, well, the regular Hulk's going to show up and he's going to like get in this guy's face and take care of it. It'll be awesome. But no, this is the Hulk that they are hoping is going to show up. And instead, I don't know if you can see, he's got one of their heads in his hands down there. The brutal way in which he, can't say kill because there's other things that are happening here. All of these soldiers is crazy town. So if you're like, seriously, if you guys are liking violence in your books this week, it's very violent. Punisher and Daredevil is violent. There's a bunch of headshots. You got the Batman is headshotty. Yep. It's funny. It feels less Christmassy and more Halloweeny in the books this week. Cloak and Dagger. Okay, so I read these very quickly, these ties to Age of Revelation, just because of time. I was down to the wire even getting my codes in to do the show today, so I apologize. But the things you need to know is that because of the X virus, Cloak and Dagger cannot be together, even though they're married and have a kid. Because of something that happened to them genetically when being exposed to it. So if you already have mutant powers, it messes them up and gives you some other stuff. Some of it's corrupted, some of it's better. But in their thing, it makes them have to be separate. So their conflict is with Fenris, which is this couple here wearing red. And they, I don't know. So that's the whole entire thing. So there's a whole big group that is tied still to Revelation that is coming up against them. And you've got Cloak and Dagger trying to fight them off. But they can't be together to do it. They can't be in the same place to do it. And you find out in the book that there is something that must be tied to their new strangeness, abilities, or whatever, that their daughter can sense, which is, I don't know if we've ever seen the daughter, which I think the daughter and mom are like stuck in some kind of secret pocket dimension to try to protect them from further virus. But it's a very interesting concept. I really, like when you have two beings that are very powerful together, it's kind of interesting to create some kind of storyline in which they can not be together, and also puts a little stress on their relationship. I hope these two seem like they'll be fine through it, but it's going to be difficult. And Deadpool, you saw Cable show up in the last book, which was number 1. And this one, you found out in the last one that Deadpool, because of his exposure to the virus, it like ramps up his the undeadness of him, like the cancer's always eating him. But this one makes it like interesting because it makes him kind of almost become zombie-ish, in which he craves flesh. And so, and I think maybe the flesh gives him fuel to help fight the virus, which is part of his whole like cycle that he has to do, because he can never die. So he always has to fight the virus. He's got his cancer. So when he gets to a certain part, he like loses his mind and becomes zombie-esque, and he'll just eat you because he can. Until he becomes satiated, and then he kind of found out at the end of last issue that he can kind of like come back into himself, have a little more control, and not be so animalistic or zombie-ish and whatever. And Cable showed up at the end of the last one, in which you see that he is very I think it's Technarch, where he's like part of his body, he always has like some like metal parts of him, but this has got like it's even more, I'm gonna call it robotish. It's almost like nanite looking stuff that he has in him. So he's been sent back to like take care of Deadpool because he's trouble. X-Vendors. Oh man, I might have read this one way too fast. Now I can't remember anything that happened to this one. Hold please. I know if I look at the pages, it'll be like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm sure you guys remember everything you read if you read 20 books in a row really fast. You got it all, right? Oh, this one's way more focused on, like this one has Revelation as part of the storyline. Big time storytelling with him doing a lot of maneuvering. So for me, this one is the weakest of the books this week, but there is a big story arc part in which the Vision, that of course he's also been affected. He's gonna use technovirus to try to do stuff. In the background, it reads in the world. And you can't remember. Oh, I know, right? It's so sad. It's so sad that I can't remember everything. I mean, you kind of have to have like big beats in a story. Like this one, if you love your X-Men, or if you want to make sure you're not missing anything, any big moves that are going on, including something that might happen really big to Vision, then I don't know. If you have to choose for all the books, you have to choose from all the books. Maybe that one this week has the least like big moves that happen. So, but don't like not get it if you already like the series. So that's my advice. All right, Devil on My Shoulder. This one is a very interesting book. This one follows a young lady who she gets asked to stay at work and do some inventory, but it looks like no one stays with her, which kind of makes no sense. And when she leaves, there are some young men outside the store that then abduct her. So what you find out is all the horrible things that they do to her. She gives them all, as in her captivity, she gives them all nicknames because they never say their names. She's not allowed to talk. All that stuff is really disturbing. It's like, I know this kind of stuff happens. I don't know with 5 guys that do it, but devils be busy. That's right. And it's so interesting. Like, I didn't see this like being as part of the storyline. It's way less. There's no, as far as I can tell, anything mystical happening in this. This is mostly about like her dealing with the aftermath of what happened to her. So, and then, as you might guess, if you survive such an event, you might get all vendetta-y about it. So, if you like good vendetta stories, this is the origin of someone who's going to be very pissed off. It has lots of reasons to get back at guys. Who schedules one closer? I know, right? The manager should have stayed with them. Okay. And that is all of the books that I read, but I do want to go, like always, I want to go over the cool graphic novels that are going to be available. You have, there is a deluxe edition of Life is Strange that's going to be available. Like I always say, your stores may or may not order everything. There's a lot of graphic novels that come out every week, and they are going to pick the ones that make the most sense for you guys. So this one seems like a lot of fun. This is Rivals, part of that cool video game that they made a lot of like individual books for. I think they made 4 issues of this, and then a bunch of covers for, but it's Jeff stuff. And then Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider. This is volume 3 of the series called Uncharted. It looks like it has some cool Loki. Oh my goodness. My foot is actually cramping. Lady Mechanica, volume 5. This might not be a new book. This might be something I purchased because I wanted to fill it in. But these are always so beautiful. If you've never tried Lady Mechanica, it is 100% awesome. What?
It's the new one because he just crowdfunded 6.
Oh, cool. Awesome sauce. I know I ordered other stuff, so I was like, this might be something.
No, I'm not actually looking at Joe Benitez's website right this second at all, shopping for Christmas presents. No, not at all.
Not at all, huh? Marvel, DC, KO Rivals. There you go. Void Rivals, volume 4. I always like to tell people, like, you're not reading the Void Rivals part of the EU and you're just a Transformers G.I. Joe person, you're missing out on a lot, honestly. I'm going to stay up for a second because my foot is actually cramped all the fire. All right. Hawkeye, My Life is a Weapon. They're continuing on these really awesome smaller versions. They call this one the Premier Collection for Marvel. They're called compact editions at DC. They are great ways to, and inexpensive ways to get really key storylines. A good gift idea that you might be thinking about is this awesome. The Last Ronin Lost Years, Last Ronin Revolution, big box set. It's not cheap, but it will tell whoever you get it for that you really love them, including yourself. Batman and Robin animated adventures. Always get animated stuff whenever you can because these things usually go out of print really quickly. Titans Terminated. Free Planet, great series by Aubrey Sitterson. Buried Long, Long Ago, great book out of Mad Cave. Adventure Time, Best of Buds. From Boom Studios, you get a Two Guns complete collection. And then make sure you pick these up from your comic shop. IDW's little catalog is coming out this week, featuring, this one's Smile for the Camera. IDW also is carrying Valiant and Alien books and Top Shelf now. And the Marvel insert is out this week because, of course, we don't have any previews anymore. So you get the little inserts and that's it. And the cool DC one. All right. And as I said, definitely this week would be a great week to, even if you can't make it into your local comic shop, if you get an invoice from them, go ahead and pay for it so you don't have to stress out about making sure you get your books, and they would be very thankful for the cash influx so they can buy the next week's stuff. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this awesome show. But we're not going anywhere, really. We're sticking around. We're going to jump off of here and then come right back. And I'm going to sell you all these books. So if you're watching right now, you know what I'm going to show you. And then I'm going to have some stuff for afterwards. Not a whole bunch of stuff tonight, just because I've been doing a whole floor reset on the store. So I haven't had a chance to process a ton of things, but we're going to have fun anyway. I will see you guys in just a little bit.